ni Mungu mwaminifu, ubadiliki kamwe. Wewe ni Mungu mwaminifu, ubadiliki kamwe.
Welcome viewers to our today's podcast, the House of Destiny podcast. And today we are going to have a very wonderful topic. It's going to be about my story. And today we are privileged to host an amazing woman of God. I will give her a chance to introduce herself and we can proceed. So welcome.
Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you very much for having me. It is such a pleasure to be here. And my name is Rozinah Mwakideu. I thank God. I am a minister, worshiper. And I'm very glad to be here.
Wow, you're so much welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, Minister Rozinah. And so today, as you have heard, the theme is my story. And I would like her to tell us about my story in terms of ministry, because you have talked about you being a minister. So in lines of ministry, where would you say, when did your ministry start?
Okay, that's good. And again, let me say thank you because this is a very good segment, my story, right? Mm-hmm. So it is a story and it's a long story. Mm-hmm. But I think because of time, we will just maybe make it just short. So I started ministry maybe almost, not 20 years, but almost 20 years ago. So 17 years maybe. That was the first time I entered into a recording studio and did my first gospel song. It was in 2007.
Wow.
That's long, yes.
Maybe when did you really discover that you could sing, or that singing was really called for you?
Okay. So, like the way I honestly believe that children, when we observe them, then we know what God has put in them when they're still young.
Yeah.
So I remember when I was still a kid, first of all, in school we had this choirs and stuff like that. And I used to join. I loved music. I loved singing. So that was when I was like maybe 9 years, 10 years, 12 years. And I remember the first time I actually came to Nairobi, it was by our school. Our school had this small choir, and we had one in Mombasa. So we came to Nairobi, KICC. It was a very exciting time. Wow. Anyway, so that is when I thought maybe I may not have known, but people knew. And when I was around 13 years, one of my aunts, she took me to church. And that was the first time I stood on a pulpit and we sang a song with her. So when I was really young, yes.
So that's when you really knew that
the
music ministry was inside of you.
Yes. I don't know if I would say I knew, but I just sang. People thought, but myself personally, I never knew.
Yet realized it.
Yeah.
So at what point in life did you know that this thing is what I'm called to do?
In 2007, like I said, when I went to the studio, I had come back. I had lived in Europe for quite a while. And when I was there, I was not like born again.
Okay.
So my sister and I, we used to sing. But we used to sing in restaurants. We used to sing in like events, and we would do secular music. Yes.
Yeah.
And, like with a small band, we used to do that for quite a while. But it got to a place where I did now realize that I can sing.
Wow.
But I didn't think that's what I needed to be doing. So I came back home in end of 2006. And I remember one night I was at my place. Everybody was asleep. My mom was asleep. And I just was really feeling lost. Really, really lost. I didn't understand what I needed to do in my life, by the way.
Okay.
And I remember I was on the floor. I was just crying. And I was just crying. And I was asking God, what do you want me to do? What is it about? What am I supposed to do in my life?
Okay.
And I remember very clearly now then just hearing in my spirit God say, I need you to serve me with your voice.
Wow.
Now that was the first time. It was in 2007. I did not know anything about, recording or anything. So I just started making inquiries. And I went, I knew that I needed to serve God with my voice. But what I should have also known is that I should just start, go to church and start ministering in church, But I went to the studio and recorded an album.
Immediately?
I mean, a few weeks later, yes.
Wow.
Yes, I did.
And what was the transition like from, you've mentioned secular, you used to be in the secular
Yes.
music industry.
Yes.
What was like that transition from the secular to the gospel? Was it a bit, because you hear a lot of questions from
Yeah.
different music ministers,
Yes.
that they can hear music from the secular and also the gospel music.
Yes.
So what was it like for you?
So for me, I knew that there had to be a very clear demarcation. I knew that because it was so different. First of all, when I was doing the secular music, it was a different setting. You know, Europe people don't even really bother about the things of God when
Wow.
you're there. Yes,
Wow.
most of them really they don't. So it was a very different lifestyle for me. And I think that is why when I came back home, it was like a wrenching in my soul. Understanding that I don't think that's what I need. You know, I want something else. So it was very different. The transition was very drastic. It was like from this to this. You know, so I started going to church almost every day, like from Monday to Monday.
Wow.
Yes. There's a church in Mombasa, it's called Chemichemi, and God rest her soul, Mama Doreen was the pastor there. She took me in as her daughter, and there was services every day, you know, those lunch hour services.
Yeah.
So I used to go there, and I started just ministering there in the praise and worship, started leading there. So it was very, very different that I stopped listening to any kind of secular music. It was just God.
Wow.
Sometimes you have to make that decision. You have to really know that what do you want? What do you believe God has called you to do? So I think for me it had to be that different.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe I could ask, when you ventured into the gospel music industry,
Yeah.
because you were from the secular world and all that, were there people like that judgment and all that stuff, like you were changing from the secular to the
Yes.
gospel? Was there that challenge or
Yeah.
people, the discrimination, the condemnation? So
Yeah.
did you face any of that?
Yes, especially from people who know you. It's always
Yeah,
a challenge. When people know you in a certain way, and then you start changing, they'll just be looking at you like,
giving
okay.
you time.
Tunakupatia muda, by the way. Tunakuona, tunakutazama na tuko hapa tunaangalia tu masaa. You know? There was that.
Wow.
And then there was, you know, because I had just come in, so all the encouragement that I needed, watu wa kukwambia, sikuwa nao watu. So I had to find a new family. I had to find an entire new family that believes in God, in worship. Nao ndo walikuwa watu wa church. That's why I would go to church every day. Because huku nje, mabeshte zako bado nakwambia, Friday ndo imefika saa hizi. You know, and all those things. So I had to. It was like a turnaround. Hakuna mtu akuku encourage. Kwanza hiyo siku nilienda kwanza studio kurecord. Hata hakuna mtu alikuwa anaelewa nini unafanya kwanza, by the way.
They're not seeing a future.
They're not seeing a future.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's just like, oh my gosh. Let me tell you something that I've learned in this journey, and I know I'm taking maybe much of your time.
It's okay.
If you have another question to ask me, but before anybody believes in you, you have to believe in yourself.
Wow.
Like you have to believe. Nobody will cheer you up. Na ukipata mtu mmoja wawili wenye wanakuambia you can do this thing, hey, thank God for that person. Really do, because when you start on a journey of destiny and purpose, utapambana. Watu watakuwa nakuangalia tu because nobody believes, and because you yourself you are starting, you also are not sure. You are also thinking, "Wa, inaweza kweli? Will I make it?" So until you do it again and again and again and again, until you believe it, and then everybody around you is like, "Oh wow, okay," then they start clapping for you. But before that, I don't think anybody who has ever made it had people clapping for them at the beginning. So
wow,
it's life.
I think that's a very important point. She has said that before you do anything, first believing in yourself is very critical.
Yes.
And let me ask a question, because I just want us to be so real.
Yeah.
When you are moving to the gospel industry and music, and because you were used to being in the secular, was there at a point you felt like I need to go back, maybe maybe when you stop doing something, sometimes you feel, I need to go back kidogo. Did you have that challenge at some point?
Absolutely.
How did you overcome it?
Because you said we want to be real.
Yeah.
Many times, especially when, people call it, I say moshi. Moshi. Kama umekuwa mahali kuna moto, unaweza toka bado unanuka ile moshi. So I call it moshi. In other words, smoke. So you think about, that lifestyle. You miss that lifestyle. Sometimes you think, because in church, again, if we don't really understand how to treat people that have come out of the world, then they will end up missing that place again. So being not judgmental, being very open to people who are coming in different ways so that they can shed off that smoke is very important. So yes, I did miss that. And I won't lie. I fell several times. I fell.
You went back?
Yes, I did.
Oh my.
I did. I can't lie.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
I did. But one thing I love about God is that the minute that seed has been sown in your spirit to serve Him, the minute that seed is there, Aki, you will go back to God. And that is why we always say it is the grace of God. We don't credit ourselves, because if it were for myself, I went back, I was born again, I went to church, I was ministering, and then sometimes later on, I would still go back.
Wow.
Yes. But the grace of God and the seed of the Holy Spirit that is in you will always convict you. Not condemn, but convict you. That there's a reason and there's a higher, greater purpose. What you're doing right now, ni kama tu those Wana-Israeli after they came out of Egypt and thinking about onions and suji, wanting to go back. And losing focus on the future, the greater future that God has called them to, going into Canaan. In between there, before they got into that promised land, they missed the past. And that happened to me. I don't know if it happens to a lot of people, but it did happen to me. Yes.
Okay, there's a very important thing that you've mentioned about you are still serving, and sometimes when that temptation came, you still used to go back. It might not be in the line of let's say going back to secular music, but what would you say? Because people who sing and serve God from the pulpit, maybe men of God, ministers of the gospel who sing, they might have that same challenge, even if it's not going back to the secular world. Maybe it's some sort of thing that they are struggling with. So how can someone really come out of it and not feel like they are failing? Because maybe some people feel like, I'm failing God, because every now and then you have to go back and say, God, I will not do this, but still you kind of find yourself going back to it. So how did you overcome it?
I think what helped me is now when you understand that it's about a relationship with God, understanding that you're not here just to accomplish something, but you are actually in a relationship with God.
Wow.
And then when you understand that it's a relationship, it's not because when we make it about ministry, when I make it about I'm singing, or I am a pastor, or I am doing this, then that is why we get tempted. We get tempted to because again, uko bado tu, it's about something else. But when we make it about the relationship, because for me that is what happened. I had to understand that it's a relationship. God loves me. God has this plan for me. And I need to understand this God. So now I started to understand God. Who is this God in my life? What kind of a quote unquote person is he, if I'm going to relate? Then I started understanding the love of God. Sasa mnaanza kupendana. So ukianza kupendana na Mungu sana, you don't want to hurt. You don't want unashindwa tu. And then more than you don't want to to do something wrong, more importantly, you want to please God. You feel that you are happy, because when you do something that God is pleased with, you yourself, you get fulfilled. So it's an exchange. It's not about just me. It's a relationship where God is fulfilling my life. God gives me peace, God gives me joy. Nikienda huko narudi nika nimebondeka tu. Ni kama unarudi na majeruhi. Huwezi enda kwa shetani ukirudi bado uko tu sawa. Unarudi kuna majeruhi. So how long do I want to do that? How long do I want to just come to God for God to wipe me? And you know the Bible tells us that for children, it is good. You know, even a small kid will fall down, utamwamsha, utampanguza, ataendelea. Akipupu kwa diaper, utamkata miguu, utam clean up. That's how we are when we are children. And God understands that. But understanding also that as a child, you never really receive fully from God because you're missing out when you become a son now. Stop being a child, you've grown up, you've matured. So easy temptation azita kusumbua tena. And maturity is understanding that it is about a relationship. What can I do that pleases God? Not I will do this, God will forgive me. Unatoka kwa your level. Now you want to do what pleases God because you're focused in your destiny. You're focused in a purpose. But I must put a disclaimer though, that it doesn't matter how old we are or we have been in church, even as a pastor or whatever in ministry or as young people. Anytime you feel conviction, you have to know that it is God calling you with his love. Anytime you feel condemnation, it doesn't matter. Condemnation, just know that the enemy is trying to keep you away from God. So I'm not saying this to encourage anybody to keep falling, but I'm saying that if somebody, you have fallen, understand that the conviction, God is always calling you back. And at some point, when you understand God and your relationship, hiyo kiu ya kufanya kurudi nyuma itatoka. It will go. You know, as long as you know that God is always calling you by his love.
Amen. I think that's a very important point concerning our relationship with God, the foundation of ministry.
Yes.
Right? And I wanted to ask, has there been any point in your life where you felt that I'm done with this ministry? I'm done, like totally done, maybe the way I thought things would be have not turned out, and what was the reason behind it?
Yes, me have been done.
It has not been one time.
Me have been done. Me and God, we have a story. I'm just a product of grace. Me have been done because you've done this thing. You believe God has called you to do this thing. It's not working according to what you think. First of all, you are struggling financially. Second of all, you're going in places and spaces where you feel you're being used or abused or misused. Third of all, people are laughing at you. Because this thing is not... I have been done, not once or twice. God knows me. Me, I can't hide.
Wow.
Yes, and it is because when you start serving coming from a place of being selfish, you will get done because uko na agenda. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with desiring to grow, to get to a certain level, but it has to come from a place of knowing that God himself actually wants that for me. Lakini mimi nimekuwa done because I've been frustrated. Especially when you go, you produce songs, you spend money, you do this, then nothing. You go again, then nothing. You go again, and people don't know that there's all those investments that come into ministry, especially if you're recording.
The process.
So I have given up several times and just said, I'm not doing this again. I'm not doing this again. I'm done. I'm not doing this again. God, you've seen, I've tried. I've given everything. I am done. You cannot blame me. You cannot say that I didn't do.
I tried my best.
I tried my best, you know? And most of the time it comes from frustration, from disappointment, from so much struggling, especially when you feel that you're supposed to be on another level, but you're not there. But you know what God does? Even that being done and that feeling hopeless and feeling like I can't do this anymore, I believe that all of that is necessary. It is necessary for any person or for most people to grow, because your capacity also has to grow. You have to feel like I can't do it again, and then you still get up and do it.
Yeah.
You know, because unasemanga tu I'm done because umechoka na umekasirika. Uko na makasiriko.
So when has been the longest time or period or duration that you have been that done? Can you give it, like, when was the longest duration that you said you were done before you went back?
Yes, I think maybe 4 years, 5 years. Yes, Vanessa.
God.
Yes, Vanessa.
4 years.
Yes.
It was that serious.
Yes.
Oh,
You know, when we are in church and we worship God and we praise God and we dance, some of us, we know what God has done for us and where God has gotten us from.
Yeah, sure.
And me, 4 years, there was even a time that I even stopped going to church. I stopped going to church. Na si yangu haikuwa, you know, people say I've been wounded by the church. At the church wound sijui. It was not those ones.
Haikuwa hizo.
I mean, that one was not those ones. It was not those. It was just me and God.
Wow.
It was God.
Wow.
I expected this and this and this and this.
But
It's not giving. I'm tired.
you decided to let it be.
Yes. But who is God?
4 years.
Akisha kuweka hivi mark, akikwambia utafanya ile kitu, utarudi tu. And so in that period, you stay, like me, I stayed and I asked God questions. Still, the good thing about me is that even when, like that time when you're saying that I was done, I was just done, but I was not, I would still pray and I would still have conversations with God. Like nilikuwa tu lazima nitauliza tu Mungu maswali. What is going on? What is this? Why can't you? Why can't it? Yule malalamiko kwa Mungu, which God is just looking at you and say, if you grow up, when you grow up,
We'll talk.
I'm still here.
Yeah.
You know? So I thank God for that grace and that patience and that love and that waiting for me personally, because I have been done with God.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So someone, hey, you know, that's a shocker to me. 4 years. Hey.
Yes.
Oh, 4
Yeah.
years is a long
It is
time.
long.
And what made you go back and undo this thing you said it was done?
So just like, you know, like just the way I was telling you, in my being done, I'm not done with God. Sometimes, yes, a little bit, but not really, because I know that I need God.
Yeah.
So what happens is with God, I've noticed that He will bring you into the wilderness, like I would call that my wilderness.
Yeah.
And then I will complain and complain and complain and complain because I'm angry, I'm tired, I'm frustrated. Emotions zikishuka chini, I will sit down and start asking serious questions. Nikimaliza kuuliza maswali nikiwa sober minded, I will start to pray.
Yeah.
I will start fasting.
Yeah.
God will bring me. I'm not recording at this time. I'm still not maybe going fellowshipping, just serving.
Yeah.
But I am praying and seeking God now for direction, for clarity, for guidance.
Wow.
And in that period, God is also preparing a way for me. And that's what happened. That is how I undid those 4 years.
Wow.
And in that time, how I landed, if I may say, how I landed in the house of destiny.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. That's
Yes.
So within those 4 years, can you say that you regretted maybe, or would you look back at it and say, I'm glad I went through that season?
I won't say that I regretted, to be very honest with you, because one thing that I also know, I always look at things from God's perspective.
Yeah.
And in God, there's never time that is wasted. There's only time that is invested in your growth, in your relationship with God. So I can't say that I have regretted. I don't regret anything at all. In fact, at this time in my life, I don't regret anything at all.
You're happy about it?
Nothing about it. I'm okay about everything in my life.
Wow.
Everything, the good, the best, the bad, and the ugly. All of it is good. Because the Bible tells us that all things work together for good. So when we say all, we have to understand
It's all.
it's all.
Nothing
It's not
excluded.
just, yes.
Yeah.
So I don't regret that time because I believe that God wanted me to get to another place with him, to understand and to give me what also I needed for my next season.
Wow.
Yes, I believe that is what was happening. So I don't regret, because maybe I wouldn't have gotten that if I never would have said that I'm not done. Because God deals with us personally and individually. God knows you as Vanessa.
Yeah.
Because he knows how he created you. He custom made you.
Every detail.
Every detail. And so he custom makes also your life. He knows your temperaments. He knows your life path. And so Mimi, while I can throw tantrums and be like, I'm done. Maybe Vanessa cannot do that because that's not her nature.
Yeah.
And God will deal with you the way he created you. So I believe that was a time for God to equip me for the next season. I don't regret at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're talking about your story of being away for 4 years.
Yeah.
I've also looked at some of the social media platforms,
Yeah.
and I see other people commenting that I'm also done with ministry. I'm also done. I'm never going back there again. So what do you think could be one of the reasons that make people who maybe serve want to let it go? And maybe when the congregation is looking at them, they look like all these perfect people, everything is going on well, life is fine. But then you just find like one day someone wakes up and says, I'm done with it.
Yeah.
So what could be like maybe 1 or 2 reasons that would make ministers, maybe for example in your case, to say, I'm done with all this? And people look at you and see like you are all shining.
Yeah.
All over the social media platforms, people are saying, you're blessing me, but your life doesn't look blessed, or you don't feel blessed yourself.
Yeah.
So what could be the reason why people do this?
You know, it's unfortunate, especially because we're talking about church and we're talking about ministry, and people are doing that. But I believe that one of the things is that, and I'm not saying this to mean anything, but as a church, sometimes we cause people to leave. We don't cause them, but people find themselves living a double life. A double life, I mean that, like the way you're saying, I come to church, I'm shining, I look all put together, everything is good, I sing, smiling, but at the same time, I go maybe home, there's no food in my house. Maybe my house is being closed. Maybe I don't even have transport. Maybe my children cannot go to school. Like there's this two different
lives.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here it looks like everything is good. And I believe that is what causes many people to say I'm done. Because for some reason we expect as human beings that if I come to a church many times, that everything should work out. But if I feel like I'm here and people say I'm blessing them, and I go back home and I'm crying because I don't even know where my next meal is going to come from, it's not the fault of the church. But someone will feel like, why am I suffering?
Maybe they're not appreciating.
They're not appreciating me. Why am I suffering like this? And I'm going there every day and I'm doing this. And maybe it is not, by the way, because you say suddenly. It's never suddenly. What happens is that someone will show a sign of things are not okay with me. But maybe people, they're not paying attention. And so they will try maybe again. Or maybe they will share with one person. And that one person is not able to help them, or they don't want to help them. I don't know, whatever the case. And this person, ata akirudi nyumbani, asira inaendelea kupanda, frustration inaendelea kupanda. Ataona tu, what am I doing there? These people, they see me like this. Then they will be like, nobody bothers about my life. Nobody cares if I eat or I don't eat. Nobody cares how I'm getting here or I'm not getting here. You know, and then it becomes that you feel angry at the church, angry at the congregation or whoever it is, angry at the man or the woman of God, and you just say, I'm done. Because you feel whether I'm there or not, what's the difference?
Wow.
But the truth of the matter is that we need to understand that everybody in church is human, like yourself. And most of the time, thinking that somebody will come and save us is wrong.
Yeah.
We need to understand that he who trusts in a man is cursed.
Yeah.
We have to always depend on God and trust in God. And even when we feel hurt, because it is human, just go and pray and tell God, what do I need to do right now? Help me. And not to stop serving because we feel frustrated. I understand that. Again, I have been in those situations.
Wow.
But that's not the solution, to throw yourself out there where the enemy is waiting for you with open arms.
Yeah.
That's not the solution.
Wow.
The solution is find another guidance. Find another person that you can talk to, even if they're not from the same church where you fellowship. They can give you counsel. They can give you wisdom. Stay in the presence of God.
Wow.
Yes.
So maybe I could ask you about the music that you've done. You've mentioned that you went to studios and did live sessions from the studio and live recordings. You also had one recently that was really, wow, amazing. So which type of music have you done, and where could people maybe find you if they are looking for you?
Yeah, so thank you for asking that. I have my YouTube channel is Rozinah Mwakideu. And I have some songs there. There's a song that I did before I did the live recording here at Grace Life Church in Kitengela, by the way, which was very amazing.
You did it here?
Yes. I mean, yes. The House of Destiny.
Wow.
This is a place where really your destiny can be shaped and you can find the path.
Yeah.
So we did a live recording, but before we did the live recording, there's a song that's called Mungu Mwaminifu. And I did that song long time ago.
Wow.
But then we redid it with Guardian Angel recently.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube. Then there's another song that's called Psalms 23. Is also so one of the songs. There's Semaneno. There is Kwahiari.
Wow.
There's quite a number of videos on my YouTube channel.
Okay, so which song, there are these moments when songwriters say, like, this song for me was really a moment of it was really a song of my moment.
Yeah.
So which song of yours?
I would say from Kitambo, that Mungu Mwaminifu.
Wow.
That Mungu Mwaminifu. That Mungu Mwaminifu came from a place of really having to trust and depend in God. And it's a song that even today, when I personally listen to it, it really uplifts my spirit.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So you can reach Minister Rozinah from social media platforms, Facebook,
Yes.
YouTube, subscribe, like, listen to her songs. And recently, by the way, you did a live recording. So when are we expecting the release?
Yes, this is a very good question. This is a very, very good question. So we did the live recording in October. We're expecting to release our first song February. This coming month. There have been some delays, with sometimes with production, and there can be those delays. But I am almost 100% sure that in February we're going to have one. Yeah.
Do you have an exact date, or it's a surprise?
So we will get the dates as soon as possible. At the moment, I don't have the date, but February definitely.
Wow.
Yes.
So make sure, guys, you subscribe, like to her channel. Let's look up to her latest release. I'm sure it's going to be powerful. Thank you.